Welcome back to CRC's Garage. In this episode, we are back to working on the Neon. I finally had parts showing up for the car, so I'm trying to keep the momentum going, getting this car back together. In this episode, we'll be rebuilding the front lower control arms for the car with polyurethane bushings. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to rebuild the lower control arms with polyurethane bushings and new ball joints. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the ball joint. It's pressed in. You want to take the dust boot off first, and there's a metal ring that's embedded in there that's pressed against the control arm. So you just want to take a flathead screwdriver and hammer, tap the flathead to get underneath there, and just pry this off. Some of the aftermarket ball joints have a snap ring retainer. So you want to make sure yours doesn't have that before you try pressing it out. But we're gonna just use a large socket, or I have this. This is the install tool for the bearings in the knuckles, and it just happened to be the right size to fit over the ball joints. So that's what I'm going to use. But we're just going to press it out on the press here. So the ball joint gets pressed out. So next thing is going to be the bushing. So now that I got the ball joint pressed out, what I'm going to do is burn out these bushings. This one was pretty much destroyed, so I was able to wiggle this one out. So I'm going to cut the rubber off this the best I can, and I'm going to burn the rest of it off. Same with the inside here. I'll cut out what I can with a utility knife, and then burn out and clean out the rest with a wire brush, and then sandblast these. This one, I'm going to take the utility knife, cut off as much as I can here on each side of that little rubber that's sticking out, and then I'm going to heat the sleeve, melding the rubber, and I should be able to push the inner steel sleeve out, and then continue burning out the rest of the bushing. But that's the way I found is the easiest way of cleaning up the original rubber, is just to burn it out. There's no other good way that I've found to remove the original rubber bushings. So I'm heating up the outside of the control arm around the bushing, and you can see the rubber is just starting to bubble out between the bushing and the control arm. So I think when it starts doing that, I should be able to use a drift and a hammer and push the bushing out. So let me give that a shot. So once I was able to get the metal hot enough all the way around the control arm there that surrounds the bushing, it melted the bond, and I was able to hit it out with a hammer. And it took most of the rubber with it, so that shouldn't be too bad to clean up. I should be able to clean that up in the sandblasting cabinet pretty easy. The other one, I'm just gonna have to burn out and just turn that to ash, and then use a wire brush and clean the rest of that out. But that just takes a little bit of time with the propane torch. That's all I'm using is a propane torch. You're not getting the metal hot enough. It's not turning cherry red or anything like that, so you're not compromising the strength of the material. But yeah, so just burn that out, and then I'll clean up the rest of it with a wire brush, throw it in the blast cabinet, clean it up, paint it, and then we're ready to assemble it. Just take your time and be careful. You'll get little bits of rubber that fly off, and they're going to be hot. So do it outside, and don't breathe the fumes, and do it near something that won't catch on fire. But you'll be able to get most of it out. Once it cools off, I'll take a wire brush and go around this one. Same thing with this. I'll scrape off what's dried up, and then I'll take it to the wire brush on a benchtop grinder and clean it up, and then I'll throw it in the blast cabinet and finish sandblasting everything off. So you want to keep going until you get all that rubber cleaned out, and I was just alternating between the wire brush on a drill, and then when I'd find a spot where it was still kind of stuck, it didn't want to come off. You'll see how it flakes off with the wire brush, but I'd heat it up a little bit more, melt the rubber again, go back with the wire brush wheel, and then finish cleaning it out till it looks like that. You want to get all the rubber out. So now I got to do the same thing to that one, and then I could throw it in the blast cabinet and clean it up and paint it. So when I was ordering bushings, the only ones that I found in stock were the energy suspension ones, and I really don't like them for the front control arm. This one, so according to the instructions, so this is the inner metal sleeve from the original rubber bushing, and then this is the inner sleeve. You have to reuse both these pieces, and the instructions say to not push this out of the control arm. So I ended up burning it out. I mean, the bushing was pretty rough. It pretty much looked like this one. I was able to pop that one out pretty easy. It was pretty well gone. But I ended up burning it out with a torch, all the old rubber, cleaning it up with a wire brush, painting it, sandblasting it, and painting it. I went to install this one, and it doesn't want to snap into place. It keeps wanting to push itself out because this skirt. So I don't know if I could cut that off where it's folding back on itself over the control arm there. If I just cut a notch out of there, if it would work better. But I don't know. It seems like the better design, more people that were using were the Prothane ones, and they came back in stock. So I ordered these, and I'd rather have black bushings. They just blend in nicer. They don't stick out as much. The class I'm running in allows polyurethane, so it's not like I'm cheating. I'm not trying to hide anything. I just like the black bushings better. But they use a different design that seems to be a little bit easier to assemble, and so that's what we're going to go with. It still is a three-piece design. You still reuse the inner sleeve and the outer, or the inner sleeve and the outer sleeve of the original rubber bushing, but they push in a lot easier, and they don't use this donut that's in the middle. So yeah, we're gonna go with the Prothane ones. I'll save the energy the energy suspension ones so I have a spare if I ever need them. But we're gonna we're gonna go to the Prothane bushings. Yeah, they seem to be better, and they go together a lot nicer. So that's what we're gonna use, and rebuild this control arm with the Prothane polyurethane bushings. Here's another view of the separate Prothane versus energy suspension bushings. These are both the bottom ones, and then these are the top ones. This one has a weird donut that floats in the middle. Yeah, there's just two different designs. The energy suspension one I don't like. I like the Prothane ones better. It goes together better with less fuss. So yeah, like I just wanted to show you a side-by-side comparison of the two different designs, and the one we're going with is the Prothane ones. Bottom bushing goes in through the bottom. Top bushing goes on top. Inner sleeve gets pressed in, and then pressed in all the way down so it's flush with that bushing, and then this one just sits on top. So I'm going to grease everything up and push that all together. So that's what it should look like all together. So the only one that's left is that rear bushing, and then so you got the two halves, and the internal sleeve. So same thing, I'm going to grease up the outside here, grease up the inside, push these into the control arm, and then I'll probably have to use a bench vise to push this sleeve in, because these are usually pretty snug. So grease this, push those in, grease the pin up, and then push this in with the bench vise, and then this one's done. It's ready to go on the car. I already installed a new ball joint. This one used a little retaining snap ring. I don't know why the factory ones were pressed in and worked just fine, but for whatever reason they decided to add a snap ring, and that's under this dust boot here. And then that just gets, you press that in with a hydraulic press before you screw in your Zerk fitting. You press this in. I used a socket, so you don't want to press on the inside of the ball joint here. You want to press on the shoulder. Use a socket, press that in until it seats, put that snap ring on, screw in your Zerk fitting, and then they included a supplied cup that there's a metal ring embedded inside the dust boot. The cup fit over it, and you're able to hammer that on so that seats that correctly. So there's that's all there is to the control arm. So there you go, one complete lower control arm converted over to polyurethane bushings. I think it took me longer cleaning up the part and media blasting it than it did to actually install the bushings. They go in pretty nice. I do like these Prothane bushings a lot better than the Energy ones. They seem to go together a lot easier and hopefully work better. So plus the Prothane kit came with polyurethane bushings for the rear lateral links. In a previous video I rebuilt those. I used the polyurethane bushings that came in the kit for the struts, but they didn't have poly bushings for the lateral links. So the Prothane one does. So now I'm going to convert these over to polyurethane bushings, take the rubber ones off that I just put on the car and put the polyurethane ones on, because I really wanted to have polyurethane bushings all the way around. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.